Good evening, I'm Madison Moore.
And I'm Will Price, and welcome to Newswatch, your source for news impacting southeastern Ohio. Grayson Wolf joins us in studio tonight to preview the Ohio University men's basketball game that tips off in 25 minutes.
Thanks, Will. The Ohio men's basketball team is at the top of the MAC standings. They have a big matchup tonight with the Toledo Rockets. Sports director Brian Kerp joins us live from Toledo with more on how big this game is for both teams.
Hey, happy Tuesday, Grayson. A big crowd is expected here at Savage Arena. Just a half game separates the Bobcats and Rockets in the MAC standings, and there's a lot on the line tonight. The winner of this game controls its own destiny towards a MAC regular season title and a top seed in the conference tournament in Cleveland. Ohio and Toledo met on January 21st in Athens, and the Rockets soared.
I think there's a lot of basketball left to be played, and the thing with our group is they don't look too far ahead. Like I told you before, they prepare the right way. They're a focused group. When you start looking ahead, that's when you start losing. And we always say we can't be comfortable, right? You can't be cool. We got to come in and prepare to win the game.
Yeah, we are just over 20 minutes away from tip-off here at Savage Arena, so be sure to stay tuned to Bobcat Showcase on Twitter for live updates and post-game content here from Savage Arena. Reporting live from Toledo for Newswatch, I'm Brian Kerp. Back to you, Grayson.
Thanks, Brian, and be sure to stay tuned for sports later on as we have more about this highly anticipated matchup between the Bobcats and the Rockets. For now, back to the desk.
Thank you, Grayson. The Ohio Supreme Court has once again ruled the new House and Senate district maps, unconstitutional. The maps, shown here, are said to still violate Ohio's anti-gerrymandering requirements. State House correspondent Andy Chow says the invalidated maps created 57 Republican and 42 Democratic districts in the Ohio House and 20 Republican districts and 13 Democratic districts in the Ohio Senate. Opponents say the maps give an unfair advantage to Republicans in voter preference districts and Democratic districts that are competitive. Jen Miller with the League of Women Voters says the Ohio Supreme Court ruling is a win for all voters in the state.
Bottom line, voters will be best served when the maps fairly represent them and are not sliced and diced simply for partisan outcomes.
The Ohio legislature has until the end of the week to approve a new congressional district map. State House correspondent Andy Chow reports a provision in the state constitution intended to help lawmakers reach a compromise may be backfiring. Republicans and Democrats have failed to reach a bipartisan agreement, and a change in the state constitution means the maps will only last 4 years. Republican House Speaker Bob Cupp says the threat of a 4-year map was supposed to encourage the parties to work together. Nationally, redistricting law is getting attention after the Supreme Court ruled in a 5-4 decision to allow a Republican-drawn congressional map to remain in place. This decision freezes a lower court ruling saying the map violates the Voting Rights Act by diluting political power of black voters. Chief Justice John Roberts joined 3 liberal justices in the dissent. The justices said they would hear arguments over the map, adding to the court's influence of reach of the Voting Rights Act. Now over to him.
Thank you, Will. So far this week, we've seen above average temperatures with that has allowed us to thaw off so far after the winter storm we saw from last week. But right now we're seeing temperatures at around 39 degrees. And with calm winds, we're going to see wind chills right now at around also 39 degrees. Across the regions, temperatures have been mainly above freezing, still thawing out from that last winter storm. And we're going to be above freezing for the next couple hours. But we do have a warm front moving in from the west that will give us temperatures that will keep our temperatures slightly above freezing, but some areas towards the north will hit freezing overnight tonight. Heading into my weather forecast later on, we're going to be seeing warmer weather tomorrow It's going to be mainly dry through the week, and we may see a chance of rain on Friday. But for now, I'm going to be handing it back to Will.
And an update on mask mandates. Athens City Council explored options to extend the citywide mask mandate last night. The city's current ordinance is set to expire at the end of the month, and an amendment is needed in order to keep it past then. The ordinance looks to extend the order until May 31st, 2022. According to Councilmember Sarah Grace, this was decided as a good date in order to lower precautions once the town decreased in population due to students leaving. Due to the exponential decrease in COVID case numbers in the county, the council will keep monitoring. If cases get low enough, the extension could be scrapped. The ordinance still has 2 more readings until anything is decided.
We are recommending to continue to wear masks, particularly when you're in close proximity with other people, but especially when you're indoors. And even if you're vaccinated, because vaccines are incredibly protective against preventing severe disease and death, but they don't prevent all infections and they don't prevent all transmission. Even though they are effective at doing that they're not 100% effective in that case.
The World Health Organization continues to recommend mask wearing regardless of vaccination status. The technical lead for the organization, Marion Kirkov, warns vaccines are geared towards preventing extreme symptoms. Masking in schools is no longer the requirement in Illinois after a judge ruled against the governor's order. School districts are now trying to decide on policies as passions run high on both sides of the debate. Several high school districts across the state choose to make masks optional in schools after the judge's order.
Tell me what the difference is between our Naperville bubble and schools that are just miles away that are giving students their rights.
Earlier this school year, I learned about the Constitution. One of the constitutional rights is the right to a free and public education. But today, for the whole school day, I was kept inside a conference room. They denied that right to me.
The state's attorney general has filed an appeal of the temporary restraining order. Many districts, including Chicago Public Schools, did decide to stick to the original mask requirements.
Senator Sherrod Brown talks about the tax return policy that could affect children. These stories and more when Newswatch returns.
Lace up those sneakers and hit the hardwood because Hardwood Heroes is back. Every Sunday night, we are bringing you the best basketball that the Tri-Valley Conference has to offer. Who will sit atop the TVC Ohio and TVC Hawking? Find out when you tune into WOUB Sunday nights at 11 and Monday nights at 6. And throughout the week, follow along on social media for scores, highlights, and more. We're excited to see you back on the courts, and as always, we're reminding you to be heroic.
In the event of a lockdown, there are simple steps to take that will keep us all safe.
Some people will say, oh, it's just some kid playing. The problem is we can't take that risk anymore.
It feels very scary. Sometimes I don't want to come to school because I think I might not come home the next day.
So were you suggesting and perhaps somebody should have been armed and killed somebody?
Ready! Fire! The building lockdown drill is now over.
Bulletproof, Monday, February 14th at 10/9 Central on Independent Lens.
American Masters celebrates the life and legacy of singer Marion Anderson. Her career was propelled by talent, but limited by discrimination.
She didn't have to say, no, this is not right. Her voice said that.
See how her voice changed the world. Discover Marion Anderson on American Masters.
He became known as the Bishop of the Slums.
It is my duty to help in any way possible.
He changed lives in a way no one could imagine.
Now is the time for courageous action and strategies.
He's unquestionably a game changer.
I'm convinced that we can make a difference.
A female police sergeant in Marietta has filed a federal lawsuit against the city of Marietta, alleging a long pattern of sexual harassment and gender discrimination by the former police chief. Catherine Warden alleges in her lawsuit she was routinely mocked and demeaned in front of her coworkers and was denied opportunities for promotion. Warden alleges, for example, the former police chief, Rodney Hupp, repeatedly said she needed to be in a bloody fight or beatdown so that she would know what it means to be a real cop. She also alleges the chief said she did not have the respect of male officers working under her because she coddled them and acted matronely. The lawsuit comes nearly a year after Warden filed a complaint with the city, which led to an investigation and prompted Hupp, the former police chief, to resign. Warden is seeking unspecified compensatory and punitive damages in her lawsuit, which also names Hupp as a defendant. Southern Ohio Medical Center in Portsmouth announces the elimination of 95 vacant jobs and plans on reconstructuring services. In a statement provided by SOMC Friday, the hospital shared that the restructuring and elimination of jobs stem from the many challenges of the past 2 years with the COVID-19 pandemic. The Portsmouth Daily Times reports although the hospital plans to eliminate 95 vacant positions, the hospital states restructuring will allow the hospital to serve the community more efficiently and cut costs. Some services are also being eliminated to save costs, but the hospital did not specify in a statement what will no longer be offered. SOMC stated the hospital is currently working with 30 employees whose jobs are being eliminated to find new positions within the 200 jobs currently available within the hospital. If you're a parent, your tax fund might be a bit smaller this year. That's because you may have already received part of your enhanced child tax credit in 2021. Usually parents claim the credit on their tax returns to help fuel refunds, but families of 61 million children were sent half of the credit in monthly payments. It was part of the American Rescue Plan, which allowed up to $300 a month for children up to the age of 6 and $250 for children ages 6 to 17. The payments were meant to help with housing, food, clothing, and school supplies throughout the pandemic. The Internal Revenue Service has sent letters to families breaking down how much money they have received so far, and parents now have to determine the remaining amount of credit they can claim on their tax return.
I have parts of my state that look just like parts of Senator Manchin's state. We continue to talk about this. He understands the importance of this to the great majority of families. I am still very optimistic because I know that he hears those stories as we hear those stories, and we know how important this is to kids.
The National Archives released a statement Monday regarding Donald Trump's presidential records, saying they've obtained 15 boxes of records from Mar-a-Lago that Trump took with him after he left the White House. This coming to light after Trump sued to keep hundreds of records secret from the House Select Committee investigating January 6th. The former president's representatives told the archives that they are continuing to look for additional records. According to former White House officials, Trump would frequently tear up documents and other reading materials, making it hard for officials to preserve the paperwork. The Presidential Records Act requires all documents be transferred to the archives from the White House at the end of each administration. The Republican National Committee's formal censure of 2 Republicans serving on the committee investigating the January 6th insurrection has GOP members at odds. In an official statement, the RNC called the event legitimate political discourse. Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell spoke today about how it is not the RNC's business to be singling out party members. Further, he recounted the events, calling them a violent insurrection for the purpose of trying to prevent a certified transfer of power.
With regard to the suggestion that the RNC should be in the business of picking and choosing Republicans who ought to be supported, traditionally the view of the national party committees is that we support all members of our party, regardless of their positions on some issues.
White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki also spoke against the official RNC position today, saying the insurrection on January 6th was not legitimate political discourse. She thinks many Americans would agree with the statement, and some Democrat politicians have come out in support of it as well.
A new study about spinal cords brings hope to many with paralysis. That story is still ahead.
We're going to be seeing dry weather tomorrow along with warmer weather. I'm going to have this and more in my full forecast coming up on Newswatch. But first, a look at stocks of local interest.
American Masters celebrates the life and legacy of singer Marion Anderson. Her career was propelled by talent, but limited by discrimination.
She didn't have to say, no, this is not right. Her voice said that.
See how her voice changed the world. Discover Marion Anderson on American Masters.
On Greta Thunberg, a year to change the world. From the Arctic Circle to Poland to the Swiss Alps, Greta journeys to raise climate change awareness.
You will risk seeing more rockfall as well.
When we have snowmelt, that can lead to rockfall.
And inspire others to step up.
World leaders are behaving like children, so it falls on us to be the adults in the room.
Greta Thunberg, a year to change the world.
Lace up those sneakers and hit the hardwood, because Hardwood Heroes is back. Every Sunday night, we are bringing you the best basketball that the Tri-Valley Conference has to offer. Who will sit atop the TVC Ohio and TVC Hawking? Find out when you tune into WOUB Sunday nights at 11 and Monday nights at 6. And throughout the week, follow along on social media for scores, highlights, and more. We're excited to see you back on the courts, and as always, we're reminding you to be heroic.
In the event of a lockdown, there are simple steps to take that will keep us all safe.
Some people will say, oh, it's just some kid playing. The problem is we can't take that risk anymore.
It feels very scary. Sometimes I don't want to come to school because I think I might not come home the next day.
So were you suggesting and perhaps somebody should have been armed and killed somebody?
Ready! Fire! The building lockdown drill is now over.
Bulletproof, Monday, February 14th at 10/9 Central on Independent Lens.
Welcome back to Newswatch. I'm Henry Groff with a look at your weather. And so far today, we saw relatively dry weather and temperatures above freezing, which did let some snow that's still on the ground, also some sleet to melt away. But we're still looking at some snow and ice on the ground. Looking at our visible satellite right now, we do see some cloud cover, but that's going to be pushing off to the east because we're going to be seeing a warm front move through tomorrow and trying to get the clicker to work, but it's not working right now. So we're going to be seeing a warm front move through tonight, and that's going to keep our temperatures relatively steady overnight. We're going to be reaching at around 31 by 10 p.m., but we're going to be staying at around 32 after midnight as we start to see light winds out from the south. We're going to be mostly steady for temperature tonight and mostly clear. Winds will be out of the south at around 0 to 5 miles per hour. And across the regions, temperatures will be relatively below freezing. Some areas will be above freezing, such as Ironton and New Martinsville. But looking at tomorrow, we do see a cold front move through tomorrow night that will drop our temperatures. But first, we're going to be seeing temperatures reach the low 50s in the afternoon. By around noon, we're going to be at around 47 degrees with partly cloudy skies. And then we're going to be seeing temperatures reach at around 51 degrees. We're going to see winds increase and out from the southwest at around 5 to 10 miles per hour. Across the region, temperatures will be relatively warm for this time of year, but we are getting closer to spring. And by Thursday, temperatures will be dropping back down to the low 40s and upper 30s. But looking at our 7-day forecast heading into Super Bowl weekend, temperatures will be in the low 40s and in the low 30s heading into Sunday. The low teens will be returning this weekend, and we're going to be looking at relatively dry weather heading into next week. But first, we will have an isolated chance of showers heading into Friday. But for now, I'm going to be handing it back to Will.
Thank you, Henry. A new spinal cord stimulation study is bringing new hope to patients with paralysis. Mandy Gaither has more on how researchers help give people who couldn't walk a chance to move again.
After a 2017 motorcycle accident, Michel Ricate had complete loss of voluntary movement below his injury, but a recent spinal cord stimulation study has changed his life.
Just to do a simple shower with a crutches, I can stand up and do a shower. With the walker, I'm free. I can walk wherever I want.
According to the study published in the journal Nature Medicine, he's one of 3 people who took part in the trial and are back on their feet again. Each participant had an electrode device implanted on the spinal cord. The electrodes receive currents from a pacemaker implanted under the skin of the abdomen. The researchers could use a tablet to send electrical pulses through the pacemaker to move the participants' muscles, but they only regain voluntary movement in their legs while receiving the stimulation.
It's very exciting.
Adele Field-Fote is director of spinal cord injury research at Atlanta's Shepherd Center. She says right now there are few interventions available to help restore motor function and says this study brings hope.
This shows that there's a lot of potential for combining stimulation with training within a day. I mean, not taking the long-term training that typically these types of approaches have taken. Within a day, they were able to get functional movements.
The study's researchers now want to do a larger scale clinical trial in the U.S. If successful, they estimate it'll take up to 4 years for the technology to become available to those who need it. For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Researchers say the FDA has approved a breakthrough devices designation to expedite the process of making the device commercially available. This designation would also ensure coverage through the Medicare Coverage of Innovative Technology program if larger clinical trials are successful.
Coming up in sports, we talk more about Ohio men's basketball big road game tonight. And baseball, yes, baseball is right around the corner, and we'll hear from Ohio head coach Craig Moore. And be sure to stay tuned to WOUB. So here's a look at what's coming up tonight on your public television station.
On Greta Thunberg, a year to change the world. From the Arctic Circle to Poland to the Swiss Alps, Greta journeys to raise climate change awareness.
You would risk seeing more rockfall as well.
When we have snow melt, that can lead to rockfall.
And inspire others to step up.
World leaders are behaving like children, so it falls on us to be the adults in the room.
Greta Thunberg, a year to change the world.
In the event of a lockdown, there are simple steps to take that will keep us all safe.
Some people will say, oh, you know, it's just some kid playing. The problem is we can't take that risk anymore.
It feels very scary. Sometimes I don't want to come to school because I think I might not come home the next day.
So were you suggesting and perhaps somebody should have been armed and killed somebody?
Ready! Fire! The building lockdown drill is now over.
Bulletproof, Monday, February 14th at 10/9 Central on Independent Lens.
Lace up those sneakers and hit the hardwood because Hardwood Heroes is back. Every Sunday night, we are bringing you the best basketball that the Tri-Valley Conference has to offer. Who will sit atop the TVC Ohio and TVC Hawking? Find out when you tune into WOUB Sunday nights at 11 and Monday nights at 6. And throughout the week, follow along on social media for scores, highlights, and more. We're excited to see you back on the courts, and as always, we're reminding you to be heroic.
Nova goes where few dare.
Just imagine the size of the bum that this dropped out of.
Finding facts in feces, data in dung.
That's taking a poo.
From blue whales.
I was in a floating pile of whale poop.
To preventing poaching and poo cubes.
How would a square come out of a round hole?
A rare science adventure.
This is where the science happens.
Secrets in the Scat on Nova.
Happy Tuesday, everybody. I'm Grayson Wolf. As Brian talked about earlier, the Ohio men are on the road for their biggest game yet this season. As the season winds down, the men are looking for their first regular season MAC title since 2013. Sophomore guard Ryan Rollins has been a star for Toledo all year and showed out when the Rockets came to the combo on January 21st. He finished with 26 points, 6 rebounds, and 5 assists. Jason Carter is looking to build off his MAC Player of the Week performance from last week for the Bobcats. Head coach Jeff Bowles says Carter's return to Athens has affected the team.
He's a fun kid. He's a smart kid. He's been through a lot of basketball games, and the best thing for me is just seeing him have fun. He's been a huge part of us being 19-3. We've done some things defensively with him that we probably wouldn't be able to do otherwise.
As we take a look at the MAC standings, Ohio has that half-game lead on Toledo, and with a win tonight, they will have a 1.5-game cushion as they look to win that MAC title. The MAC title would secure the #1 spot for the MAC tournament in Cleveland next month. After tonight, the Bobcats travel to Central Michigan, who sits at 7 in the standings, and finish their week against Eastern Michigan, who is down at 11th in the conference. Baseball season is just around the corner. Ohio head coach Craig Moore has new additions to his coaching staff. Kirby McGuire joins the Bobcats from Southern Illinois, where he served as the Director of Player Development. Tim Brown is set to work with the pitching staff this season. He comes from Eastern Illinois. Lastly, Justin Sumner is a volunteer assistant. Moore says McGuire and Brown bring a lot to the table.
The guys that we brought in, beginning with Coach McGuire. Coach McGuire has been with us since the beginning of the fall. He works with our hitters. He's done an extremely great job with them. He's got them locked in. Coach Brown brings experience. He's got about 17 years of Division I baseball coaching experience.
Yesterday was a busy night for high school basketball in the area, and we saw the Vinton County boys come one step closer to securing a TVC Ohio title. They were in Pomeroy to take on the Megs Marauders, and the sequel was just as good as the original. It was an evenly matched first half, as Coulter Cleveland had another great night, and Megs led 31-28 at the break. The Vikings' Eli Radaball came alive in the second half and scored 14 points en route to a 62-50 win. Vinton County has the chance to clinch a share of the title tonight. The Vikings are home as they welcome in Alexander. The last time those two faced off, Alexander squeaked away with a 2-point win at home. With a Viking win, they will clinch at least a share of the TVC Ohio title, as Alexander has 2 conference games left and VC has 1. Over to the TVC Hawking, Federal Hawking goes to the nest for a matchup against the Eastern Eagles. Be sure to follow Hardwood Heroes on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook to stay up to date on all high school hoops around the area. I'm Grayson Wolf, and that's it for sports. Back to the desk.
Thanks, Grayson. Governor Mike DeWine and Lieutenant Governor John Husted announced Sunday is Cincinnati Bengals Day in the state. The Cincinnati Bengals will play the Los Angeles Rams in Super Bowl 56.
The declaration encourages all Ohioans to wear orange and black on Sunday and states, "Tune in and cheer on the Bengals as they play to win the state's first Super Bowl championship and 10th NFL championship."
So looking at the weather for tomorrow, we're going to be seeing relatively warm temperatures with partly cloudy skies, and winds will be out from the southwest at around 5 to 10 miles per hour. Across the regions, temperatures will be from the low 40s to the mid 50s down south, with Ironton, Ripley, and Jackson in the mid 50s. And here in Athens, we're going to be seeing temperatures at around 51. But temperatures are going to be really nice for tomorrow. And looking at the 7-day forecast heading into Super Bowl weekend, on Sunday temperatures will be in the low 30s, and we're going to be seeing overnight temperatures heading down into the teens. And heading into early next week, we're going to continue to see dry weather. But that's it for weather. I'm going to hand it back over to the desk.
That does it for our broadcast this evening. Thank you for watching. I'm Will Price.
And I'm Madison Moore. Stay tuned for the PBS NewsHour coming up next. And remember, you can find the latest news anytime at WOUB.org. Have a great night.
Support comes from the Athens County Convention and Visitors Bureau. More information at AthensOhio.com. Peace, love, Athens. Support comes from Dean Heating and Cooling. Stay warm this winter with energy